You passed first year. 8 modules. Distinctions all the way down. Then you saw the tuition fee statement for second year. No bursaries, no funding, no family who could carry you. Part-time at UNISA became your only option. You picked up the books and walked out alone. No lectures, no classmates. Just you and those gargantuan tomes for textbooks called standards. You worked full-time to pay for it. Studied every night. 7 years later, after much struggle, you crossed the finish line at 25. Exhausted, burnt out, barely standing. Everyone said, "Well done." Now do CTA. You looked at them, then at yourself. CTA? After 7 years of that, the fear was suffocating. The exhaustion was palpable. You gave up. You told yourself the CA dream was over, and you walked away for years. But you've never forgotten the power of this designation. You're considering doing it again. But how? To take a pay cut now? To toil like a machine, underpaid and overworked? To do articles? How could you get back in the ring after all this time? Today we are joined by Oreel Reddy, CASA, ACMA and CGMA, and Finance and Operations Manager at Avanti Coffee Company. We chat about how persistence, humility, and staying in the fire long enough can shape both your career and your character. We also chat about his unconventional route to becoming a CA, self-funding and studying part-time through UNISA, the fire and humility of articles, why communication and storytelling are becoming critical skills for finance professionals, the difference between understanding numbers and influencing people, why many aspiring professionals give up a little quicker than they should, his old school's brick by brick initiative and the importance of building legacy within communities, what South Africa can learn from China's culture of efficiency and innovation, and more. I hope you enjoy. My travelers on the road to CASA, very, very fast one. I've been thinking about legacy. Had some interesting conversations with some of my friends around the way we're all going to leave and how all we leave is a legacy, and about how it's not actually about status or success, but about contribution. And the question is, what are you building that will outlive you? What are you contributing to that will exist beyond your days? In this episode, with our guest Oreel, he mentions his old school, Mount View Secondary School, MVSS, and their new initiative to build a new school hall, brick by brick. And you can help build this by pledging a brick, a small offering to eternity, a tithe to time itself. If you'd like to see how you can involve yourself and help build, the link is in the show notes. With that, onto the episode. Welcome back, my people. This is the Road to CA podcast, the show for aspiring chartered accountants. Today, we are joined by a great dreamer. But not just a dreamer, people, a great doer. He is a CASA, ACMA, and CGMA, and is the Finance and Operations Manager at Avanti Coffee Company. Most importantly, he is a family man and loves to spend time with his kids. Avidly follows Formula One racing before it was the in thing. He made that clear. And playing pedal in his spare time. We are joined by a man of aspiration. We are joined by Oreel Reddy. Oreel, how are you and how was China?
Hey, Lunga. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Really excited to meet you. Like
Dude,
we said before we joined.
dude.
Yeah, China was really great. Just got back last week, so a lot of the ups and downs with you to try to set up to meet. Really glad that you said you could do this for me. Yeah, came back quite excited, quite chill. Like I was saying earlier, that place is another country on its own, another planet. I feel. South Africa's got a little bit of catching up to do,
Sure.
but I think we on the forefront of doing this. We can
Mm.
do it.
What do you think we should be catching up on? I know even just from looking on the outside in, but I know some people that have been to China as well. Efficiency is definitely something that they've got down.
Mhm.
Like what else? Or
I mean, I suppose the efficiency is what it's gone down to.
mm,
Also, the level of tech that's around there and the way people adopt, and they don't have that
sure,
fear.
adoption.
Now, I was walking around there, I could see guys, small kids, playing around with things, touching machines, not being scared.
Hmm.
Even the culture, people are cool, chilled. I mean, driving around in full electric vehicles there, not having, like pollution and smoke. I think that
Hmm.
was like eye opening for me.
Really? There wasn't. Which part of China were you in?
So we went to a place called Guangzhou.
Okay.
I went to a vending expo there just to see what's happening out in the world. Now, we in a space in South Africa, yeah, I mean, we're at the tip of Africa,
Hmm.
but yeah, we're not far removed.
We're
Everything
still
is global
Africa.
now. We're still Africa. We
Yeah.
still see what's happening.
Yeah.
But to get to see things with your own eyes and feel them with your fingers is something else, I think.
Sure. Sure. We'll chat a bit about what you've learned from China.
Mm.
But before we get to that, let's go back. Let's rewind to where this whole CA thing began for you. I know you have an interesting and winding journey towards it, but let's hear.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the whole CA thing came about. I mean, I'm living now in Joburg for 22 odd years.
Yeah.
I grew up in KZN. Uh, I turned 40 last year.
Sure.
So, yeah, I will give my age away.
Sure.
But growing up for us, I came from a smaller community. We didn't know much of what was happening out there in terms of profession.
Hmm.
And I come from an Indian community as well, where they want you to become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, a teacher, those kind of things.
And interestingly, in South Africa, CA is not really in that conversation in
Yeah.
certain communities. Like doctor, lawyer, engineers, like,
Mm.
but CA
No,
sometimes
accountants as well.
as well, ne?
Yeah, for us growing up, yeah, that was
Okay.
in there.
Okay,
So we knew these words.
sure.
We didn't know what it involved.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's why something like this and what you are doing is actually really cool.
Thanks, man.
People are more educated and informed about what they want to do. So I went to school. We had a subject called accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, it sounds really good. Took it on. I was doing really well. Teachers are like, okay, you got something going on here with the subject. Yeah, maths is doing well there. You're doing well in computer science and stuff. I think I leaned towards it because it was a little bit safer.
Okay.
Because I was really good at it. I did enjoy it. And I had a
Sure.
teacher that actually showed a little bit of interest in me as well.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
not just to say, yeah, you did well, let's move on, let's do it. Another thing is that, when you apply for university,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, okay, what are you going to do in grade 10, 11? Like I say, we didn't have all the technology and all the information at our fingertips like everybody has today.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the guys are going actuarial science.
Mm.
It's like, cool, okay, I can do actuarial science.
Yeah.
Other guys are saying there's CA, all the really smart guys in school.
Yes.
Like, let me align myself with them. What are they doing?
Sure. Yeah.
What do they want to do? Some
Yeah.
guy said X. I was like, cool. Other guy said CA. I was like, fine. And then I started saying, okay, I don't have the financial capacities to go and do this
Sure.
on my own. Let me go and look for bursaries. Let me go look for financial assistance, those kind of things. And I had come across WITS at that time. They were giving people, a percentage off for a certain amount of per distinction that they had.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to work really hard to say, okay, listen, I've got one shot here. I can do BCom or BAC at that time. They'll pay for probably more than half of what I needed at the time in tuition fees if I get all those distinctions.
Sure.
So that's what I did, and I got it. So it was probably the easier one to get into. ACMA just scared me a little bit.
Just to confirm, in grade 11,
Yeah,
you saw these funding opportunities and then
correct.
geared yourself beginning, middle, way of grade 11. Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, I knew my parents didn't have the capabilities to send me back then. I had to kind of find bursaries, which we were applying for and we were doing. And all the accounting firms at that time, they were keen. I mean, you had the
Mm.
PwCs, the
Mm-hmm.
Deloittes, they would set you up. But
Mm-hmm.
unlike today, it was a very different process.
Mm.
I think I had handwritten application forms.
Sure. Yeah.
I put it in envelopes. I took it to the post office and I sent it through.
Sure.
Yeah, there were probably internet back then that we could do it, but it wasn't easy to do it. I never had internet at my own house. I never had email or anything. So I took chances and then, yeah, I mean, I wasn't getting the responses I wanted to.
Sure.
But like I said, I applied to WITS, I applied universities in KZN, UCT, got accepted into all because of the marks.
Yes.
It's the funding that held me back.
It's the funding.
And yeah, I had that opportunity and I moved up to Joburg the year after I finished school. And I went to WITS for that first year where I did BAc. I didn't get the funding to continue thereafter.
Sure. So you did your first year only?
So I did my first year only. I passed about 80%. I think it was only stats that I missed.
Sure.
In that year passing.
Sure.
And then I was like, okay, what's the plan now? I don't have the funding. I don't have the bursaries. I don't. And I mean, obviously, I can't let other people fund me. Other family and friends and those kind of things.
Sure.
Nobody could do it.
Mm.
So what did I do? I said, okay, let's do this thing. Few subjects, courses you can do part time. UNISA does accounting part time, and you can do your BAc, your CTA, and everything. So I was like, cool, this is what I want to do now. So that's where the dream solidified to say, okay, let me go and do CA. I got in there, and little did I know, okay, when you study part time, it's not the same as full time.
It's not the same.
It's not the same as school. You know, you literally go there, you register, you pick up books. There's no lectures. You're on your own. You're in the wilderness. But me being me, I mean, I didn't need anybody to push me. I didn't need anybody in the background. Worked, I saved, I paid for everything, even classes and lectures and those kind of things. I mean, I worked at a company back then that helped pay, for part of it. So I can say I was self-funding, and they helped me along the way. Obviously, you have to pass to maintain it. Otherwise, you have to pay them back, right? So extra motivation to say you need to pass this thing. You got no choice.
Yeah.
And that took a while. I think I only finished my undergrad at maybe 24, 25. So it'd been a good couple years.
Sure.
Just by doing it part time, it takes longer.
Yes.
I think a lot of people think, it's a 3 or 4 year degree. Why are you taking 7 or 8 years? And it took me a while. I mean, the break in between here and there. Plus, you're also a young guy. You want to enjoy life a little bit. You're going out. You're meeting people. So I did that, and then I got to the end, and I was completely exhausted. I think, and tired of studying. I was like, okay, what's the next thing? And everybody's like, do CTA. I was like, I did this thing part time. It's difficult. It's hard. So I think I kind of gave up on it there.
Sure.
And I was like, nah, let me take a break. I took a break for a year. I felt CTA was probably beyond me. I don't know why I had this fear about CTA back then. And I think a lot of people
was
did.
It maybe the rhetoric around you?
To be honest with you, I wouldn't say that because I kind of studied on my own.
Sure.
I didn't have like a group of people like where you went to varsity full time. You're all in the same journey together. I was kind of on my own. Even the people around me, most of the guys maybe were studying something different or not studying at all or just working or being entrepreneurs.
Sure.
I never had the guys who were accounting guys. Even when I did those other classes, like I said, I never had bonds or relationships. We just got there. We worked a full day. We came there. We did what we needed to, and we left. We couldn't say let's meet up on the weekends or become friends outside of it. Sure. So I said, nah, let's stop. Let's take a break. And then remember, at that point, you're also earning money.
Yep.
So
now CTA, increased pressure.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to stop working or work less.
No, I've got to do articles. Remember, been working for like 6 or 7 years. Slowly, incrementally increases you got to your point where you had a life. You had bills to pay, and now to go back and get an article salary at the end was like kind of, you feel taking a step back. In retrospect, it was a wrong call to make.
Sure, yeah.
But that's the beauty of hindsight, right? And then I'd have to publicly say to my sister that yes, she was the one that got me onto CIMA.
Sure.
Because I always joke with her in the back that I did it myself. Nobody told me about this thing. Because she had started it at that point. And I was like, what is this thing? It sounds cool. She explained it to me. I got in there. I found a lot more about it and I started attending lectures and stuff like that. And I got into it. I was like, if the CA dream is over, let me at least go the CGMA dream, which, yeah, I think in my mind, people are also saying it's the easy thing to do then.
Sure.
Even now, people are saying it, which, yeah, I disagree with
You've
it.
done it now, so
I disagree with people. So I went that route. And even then, I was like comfortable saying, yeah, you know what, the CA dream is over, it's fine, it's done. And then came, I think, 2019 or 2020. CIMA-SAICA said, let's get together.
Sure.
Reciprocal agreement, each other's bodies become dual members. And I was like, I don't know, life is giving me a second chance at doing the CA
Sure.
thing. Let's go and do it. So I had to sit down with my wife and say, listen, I've got this thing. It's an opportunity. I can finish becoming a CA, which was always like the dream I had when I was a younger kid. I can do it now. What do you think? We had my daughter. I think my son was like on the way. We had just been born. And I don't even think she blinked. She just said, do it. She said, do it. I was like, okay, you do know that it's going to take a lot of your time because it's on a sacrifice. We have to make sacrifices. Financially, we have to take like a lot of dips and stuff like this. Like, just like do it.
So at that point, did you need to redo CTA? Or did
I
you need to
didn't
do
have to.
CTA?
So, how the agreement worked back then is
Okay.
that they said if you are a CIMA member and you wanted to be a CA, if you had not done articles, you would have needed to do 2 years worth of articles
Sure.
and write ITC.
Okay.
That was the only requirement.
Sure.
So I had never done CTA. I had not known anything about the content. I had not done articles. I'd always heard stories about articles, but I'd never done it myself. And I obviously knew where I was going to go from where I was. So I had to humble myself and be like, okay, listen, I'm going to do this thing. She's like, yeah, we're on board. Friends, family, everybody was all on board. And those people actually sacrificed and plugged in their time. So I must actually thank them for everything that they did, all the belief in me. And I left my company. I had to tell them, listen, I want to do this thing. Lucky they were on board with it as well. They, in the background, allowed me to do some work for them part time. So I didn't take the massive pay cut that everybody would have done. I did take a pay cut, but what that meant is that I had to still work for them after hours.
Oh, whew.
So I had to work for them after hours. I had to go do articles.
So what type of work were you doing after hours?
So I was doing more like your finance roles to keep them, keep all the accounts up to date.
Sure.
Like some bookkeeping here and there, running some reports monthly, helping with payments, which I actually still do up until today.
Sure.
But at that point, yeah, I didn't know anything about articles. I was like, I'm just going to take this chance. They took a chance on me. So during the day, wake up in the morning, do your article job, come home at night, find 1 or 2 hours to do this. Then I had to study every single night because I had actually joined a place called Charter Quest in Rivonia.
Sure.
Which I need to also give them some respect and a shout out.
Sure.
If it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't be where I am now. There were 2 lecturers by the name of Edmore and Philip. Those guys really held my hand. They saw potential. They pushed me along the way. I mean, sometimes you want to give up. You feel like you want to give up, right? And those guys never allowed it.
Sure.
They would like phone me, WhatsApp, just to make sure that everything was going through. Because remember when I did it, it was just a handful of us doing it. From the CIMA way to SAICA. A lot of the guys had done it from the SAICA way to CIMA. So they had their dual designation the other way. I think they just had to write one exam, which was the top exam on CIMA.
Sure.
Yeah, we had to go. I had to basically shadow CTA students. I'd go every Saturday, Sunday for lectures, once a week, twice a week, to this place called Charter Quest, plugged in the hours. I was literally a CTA student for that year, writing mock exams, writing all the like, failing, crying, also doubting myself. What did you get yourself into?
Yeah, that sounds like CTA.
Yeah, so I had done all of that, and then in my first year of doing that, I mean, something changed or something happened. A cousin of mine, he passed away in that year. The year that I decided let's go and all in. And then with his passing in around July or so, I just like stopped. Also, I looked at my wife. I was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna have to maybe postpone this thing for a year or two or whatever. And she's like, you know, don't even think about it. I can see you're not okay. and I wasn't. I mean, I know myself. If I had gone on, I would have not made it. I would have plugged in hours, sacrificed. I would have failed. I would have been miserable. So I said, okay, let me set myself up for the second attempt, which was
Sure.
the following year.
Sure.
Funny enough, there was the second and last attempt on this current reciprocal agreement that you could do it.
Sure.
The agreement was changing come 22 or 2023.
Sure.
So I had to back myself, go all in, double up on all the lectures, double up on all the time and everything like that. Go, wrote that board exam, got my article signed off. Yeah, guys that go through articles, I mean, you guys are machines. You guys earn a lot of respect from me. And some other people out there might have other opinions, but I've been through it with you at an older age as well. I was working with guys half my age. I was like in the middle. I mean, I had guys older than me, guys younger than me. I was in the middle, a bit more experienced. So that was like a challenge in its own.
Sure.
Yeah, like I say, I must give you guys respect to get through it. And then, yeah, qualified in 2023, and then I moved on.
They say the article clerks are the epitome of overworked, underpaid.
You know what? We can say that, and maybe I can agree with it.
Sure.
But the product that comes out on the other side of this thing is a machine, and it's a phenomenal thing. You have to go through the fire to come out strong on the other side, my belief.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The fire is where you're forged.
Correct.
There's no other way around it. So this reciprocal agreement, how has it changed now? Because I'm sure there's maybe someone out there that maybe even is a CIMA and maybe will be considering also becoming a CA.
I think at that time, I had to write board 1.
Yes.
I think under the current agreement, and I stand to be corrected, is that they just have to write board 2.
Okay.
So I think it's just APC.
Yeah.
And having the exemptions of not doing articles. I think if you can prove that you've got the relevant work experience. The way I did it is that they said if you had no articles or whatever, normally articles is 3 years, right?
Yeah.
They said they'll exempt 1 of the years. You have to go and do 2.
Sure.
So I had to leave my job and do it that way. I think it was actually a blessing in disguise that I had to do it though. If I had to just go straight to board 2, I've seen some of these guys when they were sitting in the classroom with me, they're like, wow, we hear this new thing is coming. We just have to write board 2, cool. I think that would have humbled them by now if they had gone that route. A lot of them are cocky and arrogant, I believe. They thought, what's this thing? You know, I got all the experience in my day job. I mean, you know, your day job experience and technical knowledge and expertise won't take you that far when it comes to an exam. You need to pass an exam. So yeah, I think it's changed in that respect. I don't know what the numbers are on passing pass results though. I know when we wrote, and when I say we, I mean in like my sitting, there were 4 people in the entire country that wrote. Okay. I sat in lectures with 2 of them for like a year on end, and 3 out of the 4 of us passed from one place. Sure.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about humility, and I had this interesting that kind of perspective of this whole CA thing being a process of acquiring humility. And like these things, these moments where like when I failed in 2023 and I had to repeat my third year, these moments of humbling experience, like you don't get that without articles is what I'm hearing from you typically, because yeah, man, there's something about that 3 years where you're a bit of a dog and you've got to just do the work. Literally, a CA that I was speaking to earlier said that. So there is an instance where you can reduce 3 years to 2 years now.
Yeah, the RPL. Yeah.
RPL, recognition of prior learning. He did it, and he wanted to go to London. That was his dream, and so he wanted to shorten it with the experience that he had already had. And so he did, and he was off to London, and he says that RPL, that shortening of the year, was the greatest mistake of his entire career.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So a lot of people try to use that to their advantage to reduce the amount of time.
Yeah.
Which I can see where they're coming from. But it's interesting to hear that he said it's
it was the greatest mistake of his career, because the issue is he wasn't in the fire. And the particular part of the fire that he didn't experience was his third year, where typically in your third year, you're now the IAC or AIC, the auditor in charge. And that's where you lead. That's where you are managing people, and you start to experience this thing of like having to deal with personalities and delegate and allocate and effectively just soft skills.
Yeah.
That's the soft skills year. He didn't experience that. He goes over to London. He's in a assistant manager role. He's absolutely bad at it. He's just poor at it, and that set him back in his career. He says at least a good 2-3 years,
Really?
just because he skipped that 1/3 year.
Well, I mean, I suppose that's why having these kind of conversations, somebody else is like, yeah, okay, Alunga has told me this situation with a friend of his. Maybe let me not make that same mistake if I'm lacking in this area, you know.
Hopefully not. But I mean, also at the same time, like, to each their own. You have your own story.
For
There's
sure.
always stuff, like, given every single scenario. That's one thing that's very interesting about this podcast. Like, everyone's got their own thing.
They've got their own opinions. I mean, I was online when I decided to do this. I was like, okay, is it the right thing to do?
Sure.
I have people that done it before. What is their experiences? And I saw like so many varied comments and opinions on this. I was like, wow, I need to like make up my own mind.
Yeah.
And I often see like some people even now sitting as students or doing their postgrad. They don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
They don't know what they want to do. They need people to help them, to show them, to shed some light on it. And there isn't that much out there.
Not much.
Which is why, something like what you're doing now is really cool and exciting.
Man, it's great to talk to guys like you. And speaking of guys like you and some of what you've written, I actually scraped some quotes, a few quotes regarding a specific topic that I believe is it's one of the things on your radar, and it's something that I noted you are interested in. And basically, I'm gonna read some of them now. This is what you said. I was trained to be right, but now I expect myself to be relatable. Another one is, understanding numbers is analytical, explaining numbers is strategic, influencing decisions with numbers is leadership. And then this last one, numbers don't always drive decisions, stories do. And I feel like all these three quotes, all of them can basically be summarized in the last quote.
Yeah, so I think, you scraped my LinkedIn quite well there. It stemmed from, I think, my last 2.5 years. So
okay.
I think when you chatted to me before, you said subsequent to passing and becoming CA, how did you develop? What are the skills that you got?
Yeah.
I wanted to get out of the audit firm that I was in ASAP.
Sure.
So, I mean, as soon as I qualified, I got those designations and stuff. I said, let's move, put myself out there in the marketplace.
Sure.
Took a little bit of a while, but I wanted commercial experience. I wanted to be in a place where I was valued. I wanted to be in a place where my opinion was heard and I could implement and make some changes. I found a place called Avanti Coffee Company. As a CA that's passed, that's come out of this stuff to say, okay, I'm going to a full beverage solutions company that specializes in coffee. Somebody would have looked at me and be like, what are you doing? What is this? I promise you, that was the biggest blessing in disguise. I've been at this place now for like 2.5, going on 3 years. I've learned so much. I've done so much. What those quotes that you've read out there is what I've seen practically happen. It's not just something that I put onto ChatGPT or whatever and I said, nah, what's going to throw out? When you say stories, I'm good because in the building, I can put the numbers together. I can put a slideshow. I can do a whole lot of stuff. But if you put me in a room and say, explain these things, that's where I fall short. And I was put under the test.
Sure.
I was put under the test and I was like, okay, you need to work on this and you need to improve on it. We've got meetings with shareholders and stuff like that. Come up with a different story. And I sat that night, played around. I went, okay, how do I do this? And that's when I realized, communication and storytelling and stuff like that. As CAs, we're brilliant. we're not good at telling people what these things mean
Mm.
because you need to speak to other people, right?
Yeah.
If we speak to our own finance guys, they will understand it. You don't even need to speak to them. They will see a spreadsheet and they will know what's going on.
Yeah.
You need to influence decisions.
Yeah.
Not all decisions are based on numbers. Some are based on gut. Some are based on history, where you can forecast. The more better you can put your story out there, the more people are going to take influence from you. You can drive all of that. So, like I said before, I was looking for a place where I could make an impact. As a CEO and CFOs in building, you need these kind of skills. So yeah, I learned a lot of myself in the last 6 to 12 months,
Yeah.
which is why I put things like that out there. And interestingly enough, I'm also noticing people like on the LinkedIn platform as well having similar thoughts. I thought it was just me, and I see all these things around me, and it's quite cool and interesting conversations. You had a previous guest on your show, Yusuf. Now I bought his book. I was also like, I follow him. I can see what he's done with his life.
Sure.
Started reading his book. I haven't completed it yet.
Started on the plane to China.
Correct.
Sure,
I
sure.
bought it at the airport. I was like, I'm gonna grab this with me.
Sure.
It started off quite cool because your typical CA will maybe not do those kind of things. They will go and read stats reports. They will go read financial statements. They will not read these other things. And I thought that's quite a cool thing that we actually should be doing going forward.
And I feel like his book, it's such a great. It's called The Bottom Line for anyone who wants to check it out. It's a great intersection of, or rather, it's maybe even a great example of what you're saying we need to start doing. Explain these things in layman's terms. Explain these things in stories. The basic tenet or the basic principle of, or the basic concept of the book is applying a CFO's mind in government. So that's like the basic idea. And he explains it such that if you're a politician, you would understand some of these finance concepts.
It's not only like shareholders in the boardroom or whatever. I try to break down every conversation that I have with people, even in my building. You might be working in the factory, you might be working in sales, you might be working in the payroll, whatever. This is how your role impacts the company. This is how your contribution towards the bottom line. A lot of people just think my job is my job. I get paid a salary. When I explain to people, like in a warehouse, if you miss a delivery, it's got a cost implication, it's got a profit implication, it's got a reputational you can have something with your reputation on there. That's when the guys start to understand their impact and their role in there. So the stories are not just for the boardroom, the stories are also for everybody else around us.
Oh, I love that. Like, I'm even thinking, how because we studied it, we can see, or I don't know if anyone's ever done this exercise, but it's really cool. I've done it. Like, when you look at like any establishment, like you can go to your office and you can see the canteen. Break it down in terms of accounting. You see those people. I know it's a little bit hectic, but that's human capital and that's a salary.
Correct.
On the income statement, that's a salary. Have you ever tried to let them know about that? That's an interesting thing, to have a conversation with someone like, guys, do you understand that there's a CEO that in terms of their like decisions, they are deciding whether you are here or not based off of that little line item called salaries and wages, or it could be the rent, because like, and this is just like an interesting story. The truth of that canteen is we don't know the exact like business structures of it, but they're probably renting the space, selling to your employees in that way, and maybe there's a franchisee model there. We don't do much franchising in our studies, but there's maybe some franchise royalty stuff happening, and ultimately that results in where you fit in salaries and wages.
And I suppose it also comes from a point where, like I said, I worked at companies. I was always in a position of, okay, there's the finance department, this is what we do.
Yes.
It was only after the fact of things happening in the building did we find out. I worked at a property company. It was only after the company had like acquired a property would we hear, okay, we acquired a property, you need to create a set of accounts and all these things. I thought it was quite strange. We work in this place. We should more or less know what's happening around us.
Mm,
Always the last people. Finance is always the last people to find out anything, right?
sure. Yeah.
Always often thought, okay, if I ever get to a position where I chat to people, I need to let them know what's happening so that they feel involved. They're not like just feel, I'm just here.
Mm,
People are letting me know after the fact.
mm,
Sometimes I talk a bit too much, uh, and probably people in my business will say that. But I like to keep them informed. When new things are happening, I like to say, okay, this is what we're thinking of doing. This is where we see things going. Maybe not all the detail, but there's some high level stuff. So when it does actually materialize, you can see uh, the expression on their faces. It's like enlightenment. Yeah, you told me this is going to happen 3 months ago, whatever. It's actually materializing now.
sure.
And it's quite cool. I like to keep people involved, uh, not to keep them on the outside. I mean, I was on the other side. I often said, in my early CA days, early pursuing CA,
Yeah.
these are the shortfalls of people in positions of leadership.
Mm.
Let us not be those people when we get there. Um, so I also try to educate younger guys. I was speaking to a cousin of mine this morning. We went for a park run. So it was a slow park run because we had to walk it. But we did a lot of chatting there. And she was asking me for a lot of like advice. How do I deal with certain things? How does she deal with certain situations and stuff? And it would have never got me thinking if I had not had a conversation with her.
Mm.
So I'm slowly starting to think the more you actually start talking to people,
Mm.
the more you understand where they're coming from.
Mm.
Your brain's thinking the whole time. It's not like stagnant. And I think, yeah, that's what we need to start doing a lot more. Engaging.
People. People bring so much life to just about anything. That's what I found through the podcast.
Mm.
Because, for one, right, if we take you off of the story that can inspire a young aspiring CA, we could just go and search on the internet how you become now these days, I suppose it's a little bit different, but how you become a CIMA-SAICA, right? We can go check out this reciprocal agreement, and people will go and they'll go like, "Oh, reciprocal agreement, what's that?" And but ultimately, when you attach it to a person,
Correct.
now you've got this story and this life to it.
Well, you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people feel. I got myself into something with any profession. I got myself into becoming a lawyer, becoming a doctor, engineer. Only halfway through, maybe this thing's not the right thing for me. Maybe I should have spoken to somebody else prior to this instead of just thinking, I've got the internet at my fingertips. Sounds really cool. I did my own research. I promise you, I think if we had the opportunities that maybe the guys of today have with all the information at their fingertips and people, we would have maybe made different decisions. I might not have gone into accounting. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
I would have maybe gone into becoming an actuarial scientist or going and doing engineering, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, so happened it did work out for me, but there's lots of other guys out there that maybe would take a different path.
Yeah. You went to Mount View, MVSS, and your high school is building a new hall, and they need bricks for it.
Yeah, so I did see. I mean, I haven't spoken to anybody from the school, but I just saw on Facebook.
Sure.
They started this initiative because now they are 50 years old.
Sure, that's big.
So I think with becoming 50 years old, I mean, I see the alumni that's come through that place. I think they are doing something called MVSS 50 Greats.
Yeah.
I did write an article for them as well, which they published. But most recently, just before I went to China, I saw that they started this initiative where they say they want to build a school hall. They're collecting bricks. I think it's a certain donation, and 10 rand a brick for 1 rand a brick or whatever the case is. So I latched onto that. You actually reminded me I need to go back into this now.
Sure, great.
Get myself involved in there. But yeah, they're doing some really cool stuff there, I think.
I love that you added that to a few things that you wanted to mention on the pod, because I find that one of the things that are a truth, because like as I'm learning more, you just find out that you know less. Like self-confidence, the journey from overconfidence to self-confidence is just finding out that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
First, you're overconfident. I kind of define it as overconfidence is knowing what you know well, but not knowing enough to know that you don't know.
Yeah.
And self-confidence is knowing what you know well, but knowing enough to know that you don't know.
That you don't know.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
I don't
makes sense.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm confident in what I know.
Well, you got the benefit of youth on your side, I think. Eh?
That's true.
Some of us have matured a little bit along the way.
Hey, and that can also get you quite. I think. But is it a youth thing or is it a humility thing? That's the
Eh,
biggest part.
I mean, everybody goes through it. I think everybody starts off confident until life humbles you a little bit. Like you
Yeah.
say, you have certain failures maybe, or certain things don't go the way you wanted to. Life humbles you, then you find like your balance where you want to go. Like you say,
Mm.
other guys just have something in them.
Mm.
It's just the way that they built.
Mm.
But yeah.
But yeah, so one of the truths of life that I, through my experiences, through my readings and things, have come to is this thing called legacy.
Mm.
I genuinely believe like if you're not contributing to something that will outlive you, there's something missing.
Yeah,
Something
correct.
missing.
I mean, I thought about it when the school said, okay, listen, they're
Mm.
doing this. I didn't know that they were actually 50 years old.
50 years old.
I mean, I finished school about 22 years ago. So, I mean, that school was actually operating much longer
Mm.
than I was there.
Mm.
And I often speak to like people that are older than me that came from there. It's like, wow, you actually went to that school. I was like, sometimes you think this is an old person, right?
Yeah.
But then they're like, yeah, I went to that school. I was like, wow, I also went to that school. It's so
Sure.
strange.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, I mean, I see it now. I follow them every year. Yeah, I mean, maybe the closer than I have to. Well, I should going forward.
Mm.
But I look at their matric results and stuff like that.
Mm.
I mean, those guys are still turning out top results.
Mm.
How are they doing it?
Hmm.
I mean, they're doing it because they've got, like you say, the legacy.
Mm.
They want to build upon something which maybe guys in 20 years from now can still say they can look back and they had a really great experience. They also did really well. It contributed to their lives.
Mm.
I mean, I grew up in a different community. I didn't grow up in like a Santon or
Mm.
anything like that.
Mm.
So we need these kind of things going on there for the kids and the communities around there.
For the future, man. For the future.
Definitely.
If you could go back to first year, second year, maybe even high school Oreel,
Mm.
what would you tell them?
What would I tell them?
Mm.
I mean, I would tell those guys, and I see it happening nowadays. People are starting to give up a little bit more quicker than they should.
Sure.
I think people must be resilient, people must persist, but people must also be smart in what they are doing.
Mm.
If I had to say one thing, and that's probably been the theme of my life, if I think about it, is that you gotta have persistence. And I say it from the fact that I could have given up entirely on doing the things that I've done because I could have been content,
Mm.
but I didn't give up.
Mm.
Some people around me used to actually joke and say, when will you ever stop? I said, yeah, I mean, I've become a CA now. Maybe I'll stop. I'll stop studying to pass exams, but I won't stop learning. I don't want to stop learning, I think. So just be persistent in life. Don't give up. Failure is part of the process. It's it's cliche stuff to
Mm.
say I know, but I actually do believe in it.
Mm.
One of the biggest I'm not somebody that remembers quotes and things like that a lot, but there's one quote from Nelson Mandela that I strongly believe in. Is the one that he says, "It always seems impossible until it's done."
Mm.
But that is what it is, right? When you want to start something on day one, it seems, wow, this is a mammoth task.
Mm.
When you actually come out at the end of it, I mean, you've just done some great things now. You've
Yeah.
passed exams. When you started that journey, you're like, wow,
Yeah.
this thing's gonna be tough. But
Yeah.
here you are smiling with me today.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's what's a week or so on, past the first board, but yeah, I think I have to echo the same sentiment. I love what you said. People give up a little bit quicker than they should.
Mm.
I'm such a big believer in persistence, and I've realized a lot of it is today, obviously, with the TikTokification of everything. We want things now. We want it short. We just don't have that patience or that staying power, nor the loyalty. That's another thing about Gen Z. But also, it's that we don't appreciate excellence. So we think that you go from average to excellent, but I don't think that's the case. We actually go from average to exponential.
Mm,
And
correct.
it's being like not the great that you want to be, not being that excellent or that quality that you want to be for probably like a good stretch, a few years, and then all at once you
Yeah.
just start like it. For me, CTA was so interesting. It just like comes together. It's like you thought these things were all just these just disjointed stuff, but now when you're doing these calculations, when you're dealing with the different financial concepts, like just comes together and you just have this fluency, and
Mm,
it's slow and then it's fast.
yeah.
It's slow and then it's fast, and you have to persist.
I mean, the one thing why I say persistence as well is, like I say, I used to follow some of the guys on Facebook and other groups and stuff like that. You know, when they put out those posts that say, Mama, I made it.
Yeah.
And then they put like a whole big testimonial. I was like, wow, you know what? I thought I went through fire. Some people out there, yes,
Some
they have
people.
really,
Yeah.
really big, challenging life stories. They failing exams a few times and having personal tragedies happen and the backgrounds they come from. I'm like, if this person can persist and get through the other side, I mean, wow, that is an amazing thing to have.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids as well, I'm like, you don't give up.
Mm.
Sure, if something's not meant for you, then you can say, okay, it's
Yes.
not meant for me, but do not give up at the first
Yes.
instance of,
Try.
something being challenging.
Mm.
If it's challenging, that means, if it's not challenging, it means it's too easy.
Mm.
Everybody would be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to be doing something that everybody can do?
Mm-hmm.
Be a little bit different if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Try, persist, and try. Guys, if you have not already, please, please follow this. Yo, this was fire, real. My goodness. I think there's a lot of big lessons, but one of my biggest takeaways is tell the story behind the numbers.
Yes.
Learn to tell the story behind the numbers,
Mm.
man. That's a highlight. If you have not already, please follow this. I hope it does not end, but that it begins in CASA. Oreel, thank you, man.
Thank you, Alunga.